Welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending April 16th, 2023. We've got some weird anime news this week, actually. Remember Do It Yourself, the anime series about high school girls making stuff? It's getting a live action series because why not? You know, that is certainly a thing that seems like you could do in live action. It will be shot on location. I did not realize this actually at the time. It was made in set in a particular city, and I'm trying to pull up the information here, and it's not being helpful. But it will be shot in that city, like live on location, nice. Presumably also in the near future. Who knows? So exciting! Yeah, very cool. Also, moving on to just some regular anime news. Suzume is now the #1 anime film of all time in China and South Korea. Not only that, let's see here. This is in week 3 in China. It has sold 21.6 million tickets in mainland China, earning over 720 million yuan. That's over 105 million US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. The high-selling Japanese anime in the country of all time. Similarly, according to the official Twitter account for the film, it sold more tickets in South Korea than any other Japanese film.
Damn.
Yep. 4.4 million tickets in South Korea. Highest earning film of 2023 so far. 35.7 million US dollars in South Korea. So nice. Congratulations, Suzume.
I hope it's earned its budget back
tomorrow.
Yes, yay. Excellent. We'll go back to Suzume in a little bit. Meanwhile, there's a company called Coop. Don't know where that's coming from, but whatever.
It was listed in the credits of one of the animes we watched for this season.
Ah, interesting.
Because I was like, what is Coop? So
they're a post-production firm. They announced on April 3rd they're establishing a new anime editing studio called Suganami Studio Station Slide. And they specifically said because there's so much demand for animation editing. The industry is just that big.
Awesome.
Absolutely. This is actually a merging of a company called Q-Tech and Pony Canyon Enterprises, which was a subsidiary of Pony Canyon. Focused on video editing and so forth. And they bought that out and pulled them into there. Cool. It's cool. Lots of different things going on there. But yes, good to see more stuff going on in the industry. Moving back to anime film news. The Detective Conan film earned $6 million in its first day in Japanese theaters. Pretty darn good.
Yeah.
No complaints there. And I mean, we keep hearing about this. The Detective Conan films just do really, really well. This is good because Toho says they aim for this film to be the first in their franchise to earn 10 billion yen.
Okay.
Well, damn.
I hope.
All right. Good luck.
Well, 6 million on day one. If they keep that kind of momentum, just, run it for 30 days.
Yeah.
See what you get.
Exactly. So
it's a good little series. I always like it.
This film has earned 63% more on its first day than the previous film, The Bride of Halloween.
Wow.
This one's The Iron Submarine. So,
I've never seen Detective Conan, so that's...
We've got to fix that.
Yeah, apparently.
The anime film Blue Giant earned $7 million in Japanese theaters. This is just so far, though. It's been out for a little bit. And it is remarkable because this is about a basketball student who sees a live jazz performance and decides to take the saxophone despite having no lessons prior. And kind of, how well will he do kind of just starting on his own. The original music is composed by Hiromi Uehara, who's a world-renowned pianist.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yeah. So definitely a, impressive sort of staff there.
I need to check this out.
Absolutely. The manga is available from 17. So yeah, good to see non-Ghibli, non-Hosoda,
right
names making a lot of money. But I mean, the big names still make a lot of money too. The Doraemon film is still at #1.
Yep.
In its
Yes,
sixth
yes, they
weekend.
do.
166,000 tickets, so it is kind of slowing down a little bit. Made $1.5 million this Friday for a total of $28 million since opening. Jeez. Good job, Doraemon.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Doraemon's done the thing. Good job.
Mm-hmm. Not so much doing the thing, sadly, is Suzume in U.S. theaters. As of recording this, Suzume came out in previous screenings on the previous Thursday for us. 2,000 theaters. It made $680,000. It's not massive. To give you an idea, in When Weathering with You came out in its first 2 fan preview screening days, it made $3 million.
Yeah. Well, I will be putting forth my effort again tomorrow to put in my money towards that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So
tomorrow, just buy $500,000 worth.
No
problem.
Just kick it over that million mark there.
Yeah.
To take credit.
Show that alarm full of cash. Here you go.
What's that alarm mean? That means we shouldn't accept your credit. Oh.
Yeah. This is a slightly suspicious transaction.
Yeah.
Not the only Suzume news, though. Makoto Shinkai is going to India for the premiere of Suzume over there. PVR Pictures announced on its Instagram account Makoto Shinkai will be attending the premiere of Suzume in India. That'll be on April 21st, so pretty soon now.
Wow, yeah, not that many days.
It'll open with a Hindi dub and Japanese and English subs. Early preview screenings were out there. That number 1, November 11th. So 1.3 million tickets in its first 3 days. So, and that's Suzume in Japan, to be clear. So interesting to wonder like what's going to happen with India as a market moving forward.
Yeah.
But that is a cool thing. Also, I just like mentioning anime films coming out that aren't from the big names. There's a film called The Lonely Castle in the Mirror that G-Kids has licensed. They'll be coming to U.S. theaters sometime soon. There'll be Japanese with English subtitles and English dub this summer. Open in Japan December 23rd. Also screened at the International Film Festival Rotterdam. So,
oh wow,
cool. Kichi Hara is the director. He directed Miss Hokusai and Colorful.
Yeah, Miss Hokusai.
Yeah, so very cool. Also, the script is written by the writer of Miss Hokusai as well. The character designs are by the character designer for Blue Exorcist, Erased, and Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh wow, okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, always interested to see that kind of. Actually, do we have there we go. There's only Castle in there. So hoping that is kind of interesting. Let's see here. Also this week, things we want to just mention potentially in passing. So Broccoli is getting taken over by HappyNet. Longtime fans may be familiar with Broccoli as a longtime anime company. Broccoli was they did DigiCarrot. They had multiple media franchises: DigiCarrot, Galaxy Angel, Aquarian Age, yep, Uta no Prince Sama, and Kamigami no Asobi, all of which had anime adaptations. They're also involved in Pita 10, H2O, and Sister Princess, among others. They own the Gamers. Say what?
I said interesting.
Yeah.
Sister Princess?
Yeah, Sister Princess. Yeah.
Okay.
They used to own the Gamers retail chain, and there was a big DigiCarrot poster up on that for a long time. One of the kind of classic things in Akihabara for years. But they sold to Animate in 2011. So they kind of been around for a long time. Founded in, around since 1994. So
right,
one of the big ones. But Broccoli's board of directors announced a takeover bid, and they recommended shareholders take it. Like it's very much kind of that they've been working together for a long time, apparently. So
it sounds like it just made sense.
Yeah, exactly. Also, just kind of interesting. Retro Crush is getting Nadia: The Secret of Blue Water.
Nice.
which is cool. They generally don't have a massively, they have a large selection, but not necessarily like the really, really huge names. So,
right.
Fingers crossed. That's a good thing for them. And then finally, just wanted to mention Yasumichi Kushida, voice actor, passed away this week at age 46. Perhaps best known in Japan for voicing the Incredible Hulk.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that was his main role. Fellow voice actor said he probably shouted "Hulk smash" the most times ever in Japan. He was also in Planetarian, Demon Prince Emma, Akuto on White Sand, excuse me, Space Battleship Yamato 2199, Banana Fish, Bleach, Gintama, and Naruto. So,
oh damn! Wow, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, rest in peace.
Yep,
indeed.
So those were the headlines. Let's go ahead and move into the breakdown. Talk about some of these news in a bit more detail. Yeah. Break it all down.
Shake down, break down.
And let's start with Do It Yourself getting a live action TV series. That's an interesting one.
I mean, when you said that, it's just like, yeah, I mean,
why wouldn't
it would be difficult to adapt to try and get all of the mecha and stuff if you did Witch from Mercury. Be like, that'd be a lot to work with.
Right.
But Do It Yourself, if you have competent, like, high school age actors that can do just hammer a nail, that's the whole show.
But you got the drones, you've got all the other stuff going on. Like, to me, it's just it's a combination of two things that make it interesting. One is that you've got just enough sci-fi that you've got to do just all that extra work for just like these extra like shots here and there that don't really matter, but they kind of matter for the show. But then also, like, this is not a big franchise. Like, this came out of nowhere. I believe Do It Yourself was an original anime, if I recall correctly. Yeah. There's no manga or light novel series. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere and was popular. So,
well, it's just how popular are we talking? I mean, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was great, but I'm not a Japanese audience. So, you know what I mean? If it was it had to obviously been wildfire going with this show for them to be like, yeah, let's take a shot for it. Yeah, there are a ton of drones and stuff, but some of the like pop-up screens for her friend who goes to the nicer high school and she's doing like a lot of computer work. Some of that, I don't know how much you could like dumb it down a shade to have her working on a monitor with a physical keyboard versus like the sort of virtual monitors and virtual keyboards and stuff. But it's like I could just see I could see adapting this to a live action in a way that I would still find it interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the musical.
and I'm telling you, it's gonna be a part of the pachinko parlor.
There you go.
I'm also curious, I guess, as an original anime, kind of is this like Girls in Panzer? Like, we're going to adapt this everywhere we can.
That's
because we have the rights. So
yeah,
maybe part of a media mix strategy. Sanjo City in Niigata Prefecture, by the way, that is where it's set. So
which,
yeah,
if we know from the anime that was actually set in that city, we know somebody had a little bit of sponsorship, and that for this, if it was like, hey guys, you loved the anime, how'd you like to sponsor or permit us the licenses to do this live filming in your city? Like, oh, I got you.
Yep, exactly.
Do it yourself. The game. Make a birdhouse level 1.
I'd play that game. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I wonder how heavy you go on the future element of the show. You could dial that back.
And it's entirely possible that you could rig it so that you don't need it.
Yeah. Well, the vast majority of the show, other than things flying around and then seeing the sort of juxtaposition of the schools, we don't spend a lot of time in the high-tech school. Like, they're not in like the high-tech prototyping lab. It's like you see the elements of the high-tech kind of stuff, but a vast majority of it takes place in their like little rinky-dink clubhouse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, so yeah, I mean, use some money to make some of the high-tech shot to get the touch screens and stuff like that, and then just all focus exactly what's happening, building a treehouse.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like they got all into doing it in the actual show, and it's like it's all about collecting materials, and the connection between the girls, and it's like it wasn't very high tech.
I mean, you could even just make it modern.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut that all out.
And I mean, you could still have it be about, the approaching trends of 3D printing and manufacturing and all that stuff. But yeah, who knows? I mean, if nothing else, is the fact that you can just say, yeah, we'll do a live action series of that. Sure. That can happen. Pretty cool. Let's talk Suzume.
Yeah.
Is Suzume earning $680K in its preview screenings a problem?
So my worry is that I'm going to show up for the 115 show tomorrow, and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, we decided to take it off the thing." Don't laugh, because that happened to me with Cowboy Bebop the movie, at the actual same theater that I'm going to. So I actually showed up to the theater to watch the movie, and they're just like, "Yeah, we just wanted to put it in a theater that was going to sell 20 more tickets, so we just pulled it." And so that's kind of my fear tomorrow. Is I'll go there and I'll be like, and have to find out another way to see it. But I think, I don't know that it's a problem. I feel like it's a blip. I feel like that maybe it's just the bad luck of maybe some type of timing, or because Americans have an audience now, for anime, and you're seeing a lot more theaters putting anime in there, and at least here in Maryland, you see a lot of art houses having people going, "Oh yeah, here's our anime Sunday," or "Here's our one anime a month that we're going to do a special thing around."
Cool.
Nice. Which the theaters around me do, and so I'm thinking that it's probably just a blip, because he's made so much of these other things that you would think that the people are just like, "Oh, Shinkai, okay," or at least the people who, like us, would be like, "Oh, Shinkai," and you would see more than 3 people inside of the theater.
Yeah.
Right? So I just think it's an outlier.
It's also possible that that those who are aware of it aren't as interested in going to a preview screening.
Right.
Your name and Weathering with You, him being a hot and new thing, and everyone's leaping towards it, and now folks are like, okay, I know that film, but I'll go on the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, where are we in spring break schedule wise?
We're past it. For us.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because I could see where if you had dropped this at a time where you have a younger audience who cannot physically get to it to do the preview thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you put it in a place where they're not in school, which would previews in the middle of the week. If it's a school time, then you're not going to have as many younger attendees because they're at school. You're going to have to wait for those weekend opportunities for them to get there. And it's like, and I hope it's going to have, and I didn't check when I saw it Saturday. I didn't check to see what was the run. Is it a 2-week run at that theater? How much run do we have? So that, what you didn't see in the sort of the early phase, you might get a stretch on this that'll hit the targets that they're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. I can say right now, my local theater, they have it through at least the 26th.
Okay, so 10 days.
Yeah. Again, perhaps more than that. But that's all I'm seeing on Fandango.
Yeah, and I certainly think that it's being that a lot of folks in the anime community like to also sound off one another. That now that it's out in the theaters and generally you get to it in a time frame that's good for you, that will generate a little bit more of what's going on. Like, you should see this. Definitely go see this.
And it's certainly getting a lot of press. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of headlines. You see, I actually saw a headline. The best animated film of the year so far does not have Mario in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. That'll generate people's attention.
Or
generate buzz that will get people's attention, I should say.
Yeah. So fingers crossed. But yeah, I think it is. I agree. This feels like a blip. It feels like just something like an oddity. But we'll see.
Yeah, I think in the long run, given what it's done for profitability in China and South Korea, and hopefully India, I think they will definitely make budget, and I think we're well aware that given how they anticipate return, that if the U.S. returns slightly lower, it doesn't mean the next Shinkai film will not get released in the U.S.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not going to be like, well, it did better in India, so we'll just release it there in China and South Korea. We'll just cut America out. Like, no, it's still going to get released here, whatever the next film is, as long as globally it hits its budget and then the projected return. So.
Yeah, he will do fine.
Yes.
Yeah. So a weird blip, but I don't think it's indicative of cutting off North America from any access to anime films ever again.
According to Wikipedia, it is projected to gross $3 to $7 million in its opening weekend. So this weekend.
Okay.
Which is not bad.
Yeah, that's a put that together with the global cash train. Yeah, that should be fine.
Yeah. Let's see here. Well, let's talk about China and South Korea. Because that's worth mentioning as well. So I'm actually looking at the Wikipedia data. $82 million in its first 10 days in China, surpassing Your Name to be the highest grossing Japanese film ever released in the country. As of April 9th, grossed $102 million. I think partly in fairness because very little anime has been officially available in China.
Yeah.
So I think folks are hungry.
Which is, I mean, I know given the global tensions in the region that it's never the greatest, friendliest environment all the time. Memories tend to be long, but I would hope that this kind of South Korea and China being like, hey, this is a great film. Doesn't, the origin of the film is not as important as the subject matter of the film and the individual who put this thing to celluloid. I would love to live in a time where that becomes the concern because, there's so much other acrimonious behavior in that region right now.
I was actually reading a really good study that showed that there's a pretty clear divide in Eastern, Far Eastern nations, if you will, between, do I like anime and what do I think of Japan as a country?
Yeah.
As
that should be.
Yeah, there's just kind of
right.
The modern anime industry doesn't have a lot of connections to, World War II era Japan. So
or I remember when Toei sponsored the war.
All those cartoon characters went to war. What are you talking about?
Which, and at that point, so Shinkai is going to India. Do we think, what kind of market is India for anime? Is an interesting question.
On my channel, on my YouTube channel, it is in the top 5 countries that watch my channel, which I also, because I just took a look at it for the first time in years. And the demographics, and I was just like, seriously, really? And the spike for that has come in the past 12 months. So it's not something that's always been there, right? So it's something recent. So I think that it's just that maybe with things improving in a certain way for India's infrastructure, for one of the better term, I think that now that people are not everyone is living in a day-to-day squalid existence. Just only half of them now. There you have a huge population of people who are just going, oh, this thing. Oh, I kind of like this. This is kind of fun, and it's different than what I'm getting from America and Britain and Europe, and this is more friendly to us.
Mhm.
And, and keep in mind that, like Tezuka, when he made his manga and stuff, that's, Buddha was in India,
true.
that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I think there
Yeah.
has always been a desire probably in India to get
Sure.
more in there.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
now I think that people are just technologically speaking and wealth
Yeah.
speaking are able to tap into that.
Well, I'm also, interestingly, I'm looking up, so ANN has been reporting more and more stuff about India over the past couple months. And for an example, Sunday, April 16th, Disney Channel showed 3 Doraemon movies in India.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
And the TV channel Super Hungama showed one of the Pokemon movies. A couple of weeks ago, Shin-Chan, a couple of Shin-Chan movies, Pokemon. So a lot of stuff is available over there. Also interesting, and again, this is just kind of random data. Just this past week, Crunchyroll added 44 new anime titles into the Indian market on Crunchyroll.
Damn.
So they're pouring stuff into that market.
Yeah. Well, I know one of the sites that I found anime on used to have a counter that would show like what countries were in their population, and India always featured within at least the top 15. So it's like there were people consuming content from that region, and I know years ago I used to play an MMO, and there was a guy who was in India that played with frequently, and he said his biggest problem was they had brownouts.
Right.
So it's like, he could play the game for a period of time, and then it's like he had to stop because that would be like the daily brownout. And it's like they had not as good reliable access to infrastructure elements to be able to stream and to do like online gaming.
Right.
So that was, gosh, that has to have been a good 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So that you figure in the last 10 years, yeah, I mean, a lot more has come online, a lot more connectivity has occurred in obviously larger urban sectors. And as you keep adding connectivity, you're going to keep seeing that consumption rate rise. And with near on to 1 billion people,
Yeah,
you've got China locked in.
And I have a
having
feeling
the Indian market's another good bunch of people to have.
Absolutely.
Well, I was going to say the Indian market is also going to be not as restrictive.
Yeah.
As the Chinese market. So there might be some things that there'll probably be a lot of things that they'll just be like, yeah, okay, it's fine.
So I just pulled up a blog article from 2020 where they used Google Trends to see what were the 20 most popular anime in India. Now, to be clear, again, this is what people are talking about. People are Googling, not necessarily what's available. Number 1 is Doraemon, Shin-Chan, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Fairy Tail, Naruto, Pokemon, Code Geass, Bleach, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, Gintama, Boruto, Demon Slayer, Seven Deadly Sins, Detective Conan, Death Note, Berserk. If Berserk is something that folks in India are watching, Assassination Classroom, and of all things, Yu Yu Hakusho.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds like they're getting the old Adult Swim straight. Like.
Yeah. Well, actually, Yu Yu Hakusho makes a little bit of sense for Hindi, or for Hinduism.
Oh, interesting.
Because of the way that show is created with, people going to heaven and hell, and
that's true.
And that all that kind of stuff,
spirit guns, all that.
Yeah, and it could be that Yu Yu Hakusho just happens to be licensed and airing on some channel every morning.
Yeah.
But I agree that does trend. But the thing too is, that's One Piece, Fairy Tail, Dragon Ball, Naruto, Bleach,
these are very cool.
Yeah, totally. Those are what folks are talking about over here, pretty much.
Yep.
So yeah, I can totally see that being a big market.
global interconnectivity is amazing.
Yeah. I'd be fascinated to see the breakdown of like legitimate versus pirate consumption.
That might not be numbers you want to look at, Brad.
Right? Because it's the classic question. And in fairness, is one of those things, like in a lot of countries, like there's, licensing isn't always easy and quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So there may be a lot of stuff that just hasn't gotten licensed yet, and they're grabbing it wherever they can.
Which will be very. I mean, because of the high proportion of English speakers in India,
True.
I think that would. You might not even have piracy as much as you have, and you know more about this stuff, both of you guys, about setting up so it looks like you are originating from a different country.
Oh,
so that you can access network elements that are not available in your home country.
That's true. Yeah.
So I don't know whether you classify that as piracy, but if you were to,
it's not classified as
perfect. Well, if you were to spoof your location and said that you were in Toronto, so now you have access to the North American streaming feeds, and now you're watching Crunchyroll, which you paid for, but it thinks you're in Toronto.
Yes.
And you're not allowed to get whatever the Crunchy feed is in Mumbai.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
so Yeah, so the selling point of VPNs is actually that, whereas they're just like, by virtue of the fact that you're legally hiding yourself in a different place, so to speak, you should be able to access those things because that's where the people are trying to hack you think you're from. Right. And so, I don't think there's anything illegal about that just yet, but I'm sure that there are governments out there that are just like going, what can we do about this?
Yeah, we need to tighten this up a little bit.
Yeah, it's the classic sort of legal gray area where it's
it's kind of like here in the United States where we have laws and we kind of go look at the law and we go, is that really a good law? Well, we're not going to be able to really do anything until the Supreme Court until it goes through the process. It goes through the process, the legal process.
It's not unlike sharing Netflix accounts, where it's like if you're doing everyone will occasionally, let a friend, see something, they're gonna, allow somebody else into their living room to watch the thing, even though technically, it's only for you.
Right.
But then it turns into, me and my 100 closest friends all have my Netflix password.
Right.
But I mean, it's that kind of thing where it's like, okay, I can see, where the growth, you can get access through means to legal content.
Yep.
And given the high proportion of English speaking, you can understand that content without having to go through hoops to get it converted into Hindi or Urdu or anything else.
Right.
Yeah. That's
so
a great point.
Yeah. The global connectivity. It's like, that's really, it's amazing. What a golden time for anime.
Yeah. And that's a great point because there's just so much available legally that you don't have to, you don't have to download fan subs or do any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're right. You can just
have to get out from under your out from your region lock.
Yep.
You have to get beyond that, and then you've got total legal access to it.
It's like, and you've got a very technologically literate, a large percentage of technologically literate, population that would definitely know how to use a VPN. It's true. Interesting.
So I wonder, where's Shinkai going to go next? So you visited India.
Yeah.
Where would be the next biggest emerging market for Shinkai to go drop in for the Suzume premiere?
I mean, he doesn't need to go to China or South Korea.
No, they already got that one locked down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Brazil.
Yeah, South America. Great call.
Yeah.
Is the only reason why population majority in South America?
Say again?
Well, are they the largest population?
Yeah, I was going to say, because
the reason why I say that is because there's so much anime in Portuguese right now that are fan subbed into Portuguese.
Exactly. Yep.
I know Brazil has featured quite astoundingly and broadly as the decade has moved on, where it's like, okay, you don't hear nearly as much about any, Chile or Argentina or Ecuador.
Right.
You hear much more about Brazil.
Mhm.
So I could see that being like, okay, Brazil is kind of leading the way. If you're going to have a South America event, lead the way with Brazil, and then that the others will follow.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah,
You could always go to Medellin and go, where? Yes, cocaine is actually cheaper than this, but here.
That's a great point. I think South America probably is the next frontier. That is a market primed for anime.
Yeah.
To go big.
Central, South, you only have 2 languages you got to translate into. Portuguese and Spanish. That's it. Then you covered like the vast majority of that region. So
just a little hard to get to from Japan.
It's just a long boat ride.
It's just a hop, skip, and a jump. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. Come on.
If they had a Concorde, it would be only a matter of hours.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that? I mean, John and I have already seen Suzume, and we're definitely 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys know.
Absolutely.
I meant to look up the soundtrack too. I'll have to do that.
Yeah. It's quite the soundtrack.
Yeah.
We live in a great time that all of this anime is available to us, and if I could jump back 20 years and tell myself that all this would be available, I'd blow my mind.
Yeah, if I could tell myself 20 years ago, going, yeah, you don't have to buy in 20 years. You won't have to buy just the volume 3 and 4 and hope to God that you'll ever find 1 again.
Yep.
Exactly. And I have to hunt for those volumes.
Sure.
I would take $100 and go and find the guys who pirate founded Crunchyroll and be like, shut up, I'm joining in. I am now a full-on invested person. Now give me some shares. I want to see how this happens. Why are you so desperate? Just trust me. Do you have a Sony TV? That's the only hint I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, just saying. Just wait until this little thing called Demon Slayer comes along. You'll be fine. Gosh.
And don't make Tower of God. No.
They made worse. All right. That'll do it for this week. Thank you all for watching. See you all next week.
Johnny. Sayonara. Oyasumi nasai.